Come closer, my dear. The night's getting chilly, isn't it? Sit by the fire, wrap yourself in this soft blanket, and let the world outside fade for a while. Tonight, I'll tell you about a little girl named Myra, a brave, bright soul, who followed the light of the moon into a forest that whispered secrets. It's a story of love that never fades, of silver creeks and bridges that shimmer in dreams. So hush now, hold your cup of cocoa close, and listen. The Moonlight Creek is calling again. The morning air was crisp and carried the scent of damp earth and pine as little Myra stirred under her quilt, the soft rustle of leaves whispering against her window. She stretched, blinking at the sunlight slipping through the curtains, and immediately noticed something was different. Her brother's boots, always neatly placed beside the door, were gone, leaving the floor strangely empty and echoing in a way that made her stomach tighten. She hurried to the door, her tiny fingers brushing the cool wood, and asked herself where he could have gone, her voice barely above a whisper. The village was quiet, as it often was in these early hours, except for the distant crowing of a rooster and the soft hum of a wind that danced through the trees. The neighbors had gathered near the well, their voices low and murmuring, eyes darting toward the forest edge. He went to the Moonlight Creek, one of the villagers said, the words tumbling out with a mixture of awe and worry. It only shows itself when the moon is full. Myra's heart thumped in her chest, half in fear and half in the curiosity that had always lived quietly inside her. She ran to her grandmother, who sat in the rocking chair by the fireplace, knitting needles clinking softly. Her grandmother looked up, eyes wise and tender, the lines on her face seeming deeper this morning. The forest has secrets, my little one, she said, her voice like the low hum of the hearth. Some things are best left alone, even by those we love. Myra pressed closer, feeling the warmth of her grandmother's shawl, and tried to imagine the Moonlight Creek glowing and hidden, somewhere past the whispering woods that seemed to breathe around their village. Yet hope fluttered inside her, delicate and insistent, as she thought of her brother's laugh echoing in the halls, the way he always pulled her into small adventures. Maybe he's not lost, she murmured to herself, fingers tracing the grain of the doorframe, imagining the silver light the villagers spoke of, imagining the creek flowing quietly under the moon, and feeling a tug in her heart to follow where he had gone, to understand the secret that had called him away. Outside, the village seemed unchanged, the familiar smell of baking bread drifting from the bakery, the soft coo of doves in the square. Yet the missing boots made everything feel different, as though the world had shifted a little and left her standing at the edge of something magical and unknown. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the gentle morning sun warm her face, listening to the distant rustle of trees and the faint sigh of the wind, and felt a quiet shiver of anticipation curl in her chest. Myra returned to her room, heart whispering questions, eyes tracing the path beyond the hills, and for the first time, she imagined herself stepping into the forest, following the faint glow that might guide her to her brother, the forest humming softly in response, like it had been waiting for her all along, a silver thread of curiosity winding through her thoughts, leading her gently toward the secrets the woods held, and she knew the day had only just begun. The afternoon sun spilled gently through the window, dust motes drifting like tiny stars in the golden light. As Mira knelt beside her brother's little desk, fingers brushing over scattered books and pencils, the air smelling faintly of old paper and pine from the forest beyond, she hesitated for a moment, her hand trembling slightly, wondering if she was ready to look through his things. And then curiosity nudged her forward, soft and insistent, like a whisper urging her to uncover a secret beneath a stack of notebooks. Myra's fingers caught on something thin and rough, a folded sketch, edges worn and smudged with charcoal dust. She lifted it carefully, her breath catching as she unfolded the paper, revealing a winding creek drawn in sweeping lines that shimmered in her imagination. A small bridge tucked under a crescent moon, delicate and mysterious, the handwriting curling in loops she did not recognize, so unlike her brother's own neat letters, and her heart gave a small leap of surprise and wonder. Next to the sketch lay a note, the words almost glowing on the paper: "Follow the silver light, and you'll find what was lost." Mira traced the letters with her fingertip, feeling a strange warmth run through her, a mixture of hope and trepidation. The quiet rustle of the curtains and the distant crow of a rooster making the words feel like a secret meant only for her. She whispered softly, "Could this be for me too?" And the thought settled in her chest like a tiny ember of courage. She sat on the floor, knees drawn close, the sketch spread before her, imagining the creek winding through the whispering woods, the bridge glowing faintly under the moon, and the possibility of finding her brother or something they both had forgotten tugging gently at her imagination. She felt both the ache of missing him and the thrill of adventure, a tiny flutter in her chest that made her hands clammy and her heart beat unevenly. Yet she could not resist the quiet pull of the promise hidden in the note. Evening fell slowly, shadows stretching across the floor, and the house grew hushed. The faint smell of evening bread drifting from the kitchen and the soft ticking of the old clock making her feel as though time itself was holding its breath with her. Mira folded the sketch carefully, tucking it into her pocket, her mind spinning with questions, possibilities, and the gentle insistence of the silver light that seemed to call her by name by the time the moon rose, spilling silver over the village rooftops and turning the forest edges into shadow and silver. Myra's decision had been made, the warmth of hope and courage steadying her steps as she prepared quietly, a small thrill curling in her chest. For she knew she could wait no longer. The night seemed to lean toward her, whispering that something wonderful and mysterious awaited just beyond the trees. The night wrapped the village in a quiet hush, the silver moon spilling across the rooftops and painting the cobblestones in soft light. As Mira pressed her small hands to the cool doorknob and eased it open, the gentle creak muffled by the whispering wind, her heart fluttered, half with excitement, half with a shiver of fear as she stepped onto the garden path, feeling the soft dew soaking her slippers, the scent of damp earth rising to meet her. The forest waited just beyond the edge of the yard, shadows folding in among the trees like gentle arms. And as Myra stepped onto the soft moss, tiny lights flickered around her, fireflies drifting like stars fallen into the underbrush, lighting her way with a delicate, trembling glow. Every rustle of leaves, Every snap of a twig beneath her careful steps seemed amplified in the quiet. Yet, instead of frightening her, the forest felt almost alive, as though it knew she had come and was greeting her softly. With each step deeper into the woods, Mira felt the air change, carrying a hum that tickled her ears and wrapped around her chest like a warm shawl. The smell of pine and cool water mixing into something that smelled of home and secrets all at once. Her small hands brushed against the bark of the trees, rough yet comforting, and she whispered her brother's name softly, just a thread of a voice. And it seemed the forest leaned in, listening with patience and care. Then, from somewhere ahead, she heard it, the gentle murmur of running water, faint yet unmistakable, a voice threading through the darkness, calling her name like a lullaby she had always known but had forgotten. Mira froze, breath caught between awe and longing, her pulse thrumming in her ears as she imagined the creek shimmering under the moon, imagining the silver light promised in the note, and felt her small chest swell with courage and yearning all at once. Her thoughts wandered softly, tracing memories of her brother's laughter, the stories he had whispered at bedtime, the way he had always tugged her along for little adventures, and she felt a shiver of warmth, the kind that blooms when you remember someone you love, even when they are gone. She murmured to herself, "I'll find you, I promise." And the forest seemed to hum back in quiet agreement, guiding her forward. The path twisted gently, shadows and moonlight dancing together, and Mira felt her toes sink into moss and fallen leaves, the air carrying hints of wildflowers and the faint metallic sweetness of moonlit water. Every rustle of a hidden creature, every fluttering wing of a passing moth added to the hush of enchantment and suspense, making her feel both small and brave, like a tiny flame walking through a cathedral of trees. Step by careful step, Mira followed the sound, the lullaby of the creek threading through the hush of night, wrapping around her like a soft scarf, until the moonlight spilled across a small clearing ahead, silver and still, promising something magical waiting just beyond the trees. The clearing opened before Mira like a hidden room in the world, moonlight spilling across soft grass and wildflowers, painting everything in silver and pale blue. Her small feet crunched softly on fallen leaves as she stepped closer, the air fragrant with damp earth and the cool sweetness of water. And then she saw it, the moonlight creek winding gently, glowing as if the moon itself had fallen into its waters. The surface shimmered like liquid glass, moving quietly with a soft murmur, reflecting stars that seemed impossibly bright and unfamiliar, as though they belonged to another sky altogether. Mira knelt beside the water, her reflection merging with the tiny sparks of light dancing across the surface, her fingers trembling slightly as she reached out, almost daring to touch the magical silver ripples, and whispered her brother's name into the hush of the night, a delicate shimmer flowing toward her as if recognizing her voice. And Mira felt a warm flutter of hope deep in her chest. She pressed her palm to the soft grass, the cool night brushing her hair across her face, and imagined her brother somewhere beyond the trees, drawn to this silver glow just as she had been, her eyes tracing the edges of the creek as if it might speak more secrets if she simply listened. And then she saw it, faint at first, like a dream trying to take shape, a bridge forming slowly above the water, its outline soft and hazy, wooden planks faintly glowing with a pale, gentle light, bending gracefully over the creek, as though it had always belonged there but had been waiting for this exact moment. Mira held her breath, heart beating in tiny, quick flutters. Unsure whether to feel awe or disbelief, her thoughts wandered, tender and trembling, imagining the adventures she might have with her brother, the laughter they would share across the bridge, the comforting rhythm of footsteps together on wooden planks, and a shiver of longing mixed with courage swept through her small frame. "Maybe this is the way," she murmured softly, fingers brushing the edge of the grass. "The way to find him." The thought wrapped around her like a quiet promise. The clearing seemed alive, the fireflies twinkling in a slow, gentle dance, and the air hummed with a warmth that felt almost sentient, brushing against Mira's cheeks like a gentle hand. The creek's voice mingled with the soft rustle of leaves and the distant call of night birds, creating a melody that was at once soothing and full of suspense, guiding her eyes back to the bridge and the secrets it might hold. Myra knelt a little longer, letting the shimmer of the creek fill her thoughts, letting the soft glow of the forming bridge seep into her heart, knowing in a way that felt quietly certain that this was only the beginning, the threshold of something magical waiting for her to step forward and follow it. The moon climbed higher into the sky, spilling a cool silver light across the clearing, making the creek shimmer even more brightly than before, as Myra's small hands clutched the grass at the water's edge. A soft breeze stirred her hair, carrying the faint scent of pine and damp earth, and the quiet night seemed to hold its breath with her, waiting for what was about to unfold. Slowly, almost as if waking from a long dream, the bridge began to materialize above the creek, the wooden planks forming first as faint outlines and then solidifying, glowing with a pale blue light that shimmered like dew under the moon. It creaked softly, a gentle invitation whispered in the hush of the night, the sound both fragile and alive, as though the bridge itself were breathing, waiting for Mira to take her first step. Her fingers brushed the railing, expecting the chill of wood in the night, but instead, warmth spread under her touch, tender and familiar, like the presence of someone she loved, lingering just beyond sight. Mira's breath caught, a shiver of wonder and nervous excitement rolling through her, and she pressed her palm more firmly against the railing, imagining her brother reaching for her hand in the dark, a connection she could almost feel. For a moment, she closed her eyes, letting her memories drift, the sound of his laughter echoing in the hall, the way he would twirl her around in games, the gentle nudges of encouragement when she dared to be brave. "I'll find you," she whispered into the night, voice soft and trembling, heart swelling with longing and determination all at once. The glow of the bridge reflecting in her wide eyes like a promise, Mira stepped forward, the first footfall making a low creak that echoed lightly across the creek, the wooden planks steady beneath her weight, the cool air wrapped around her, carrying the faint scent of moonlit water and the rustle of distant leaves, and each step seemed to bridge the distance, not just across the creek, but between her and her brother, between fear and courage. The warmth of hope blossoming in her chest, she walked slowly, letting her fingers glide along the smooth, glowing railing, listening to the subtle sounds of the night, the soft gurgle of the creek below, the whispering of the wind in the treetops, the quiet hum of fireflies drifting around her. Each sound felt like a companion, a gentle encouragement that she was on the right path, a path made not just of wood and light. Myra felt herself leave the ordinary world behind, moving into a space where the air hummed with magic, where shadows and silver light danced together, and the bridge seemed to hold her with a kind of quiet reassurance, guiding her forward toward something she had dreamed of but never fully known, a journey that had only just begun. As Myra's feet carried her across the glowing bridge, each step felt soft and dreamlike, as if she were walking through a mist spun from memories and silver light. The air hummed quietly around her, wrapping her in a gentle warmth, and the rustle of leaves beneath the unseen breeze sounded like whispered encouragement, guiding her onward toward a world she had never seen but somehow felt she had always known. When she stepped off the bridge, the forest opened like a secret held in a dream, bathed in shades of silver and lavender. The trees were familiar, yet their shapes shimmered with an ethereal glow, the grass soft beneath her feet, and tiny motes of light floated lazily in the air like fireflies that never tired. Everything was still, quiet, and almost reverent, as though the world itself was holding its breath, waiting to see what she would do next. Her eyes caught faint footprints ahead, glowing softly against the muted forest floor, leading her toward a small cabin that seemed made entirely of crystal and moonlight, its walls shimmering and refracting the silver glow into delicate patterns on the ground. Myra felt her heart flutter, a mingling of awe and trepidation as she stepped lightly, careful not to break the spell of this enchanted place. Each sound, a twig snapping softly, her breath mingling with the mist, reminding her that she was both visitor and witness in a world suspended between night and magic. She paused for a moment, letting the quiet fill her, feeling the gentle pulse of the forest around her. Her thoughts drifted to her brother, imagining him waiting inside the cabin, perhaps smiling, perhaps caught in some wonder that mirrored her own. "I'm coming," she whispered softly, voice trembling with hope and tenderness, a thread of courage winding through her small frame as the footprints guided her. Myra felt a swirl of emotions, wonder at the dreamlike forest, fear of the unknown, longing for the warmth of her brother's presence, and the soft, insistent courage that pushed her forward. She imagined stepping through the cabin door and finding him there, the bridge behind her fading into memory, and she allowed herself a quiet smile, feeling that the forest itself had chosen to protect her journey, to cradle her steps with care. The air was alive with subtle scents of damp moss, sweet wildflowers, and the faint mineral temps of the creek nearby, carrying with it the quiet song of running water, the soft rustle of unseen creatures, and the gentle hum of magic that made her skin tingle with anticipation. Every sense seemed sharpened, the night breathing around her like a living presence, offering both comfort and suspense as the cabin grew nearer. Step by step, Myra followed the glowing footprints, her small hands brushing against the soft grass, heart beating in quiet rhythm with the enchanted forest, knowing that each step was leading her closer not just to her brother, but to the secret waiting for them both. The silver lavender glow wrapped around her like a gentle promise, and she felt ready to see what lay inside the cabin. The cabin seemed to glow from within, the crystal walls refracting the moonlight into gentle streams of silver and lavender. As Myra stepped quietly across the threshold, the wooden floor cool beneath her feet. The faint hum of magic filled the air, mingling with the soft rustle of leaves brushing against the cabin's walls. And her breath caught as her eyes fell on her brother sitting by a lantern. The warm light dancing across his calm, distant face, he looked unchanged, small lines of mischief still playing at the corners of his eyes. Yet there was a quiet distance about him, as though he were both here and somewhere far beyond, a shimmer of silver reflecting in his gaze like the creek itself. Myra's heart swelled with relief and longing, and she took a careful step closer, the soft creak of the floorboards sounding impossibly loud in the hushed space. "Hello, Myra," he said softly, voice echoing slightly, yet gentle, carrying the familiarity she had missed. "I've been waiting for you." His eyes glimmering with the same silver light as the creek, and Myra felt a shiver of wonder and tenderness ripple through her, the room seeming to hold its breath as if waiting for her next move. He motioned toward the lantern, its glow bathing them both in a comforting warmth, and Myra noticed the quiet magic that seemed to gather around him, swirling like faint mist that hummed with memory and longing. "This is the place where lost things rest until remembered," he explained, voice gentle. "I followed the silver light to bring back something we had both forgotten, the lullaby Mother used to sing." Myra sank to her knees beside him, fingers brushing the soft fabric of his sleeve, her thoughts spinning with memories of gentle evenings, her mother's voice weaving through the air like a tender thread, the sound warm and soft in her mind. She whispered under her breath, "I remember it too," and a tear of quiet happiness slipped down her cheek. Feeling the room cradle her sorrow and joy alike, the lantern flickered softly, casting dancing shadows that moved like tiny spirits across the walls, carrying with them the faint scent of honey and wildflowers, the aroma mingling with the cool, clean scent of the forest outside. And Myra felt the warmth of connection settle around her heart, a bridge not of wood or light, but of love and memory. Her brother's smile deepened slightly, a quiet understanding passing between them, and Myra felt her small hands tremble with hope, courage, and comfort all at once, the silver glow in his eyes softening as the memory of the lullaby wrapped around them both, a quiet melody weaving through the enchanted cabin, bringing peace. Myra closed her eyes for a moment, letting the memory of the song fill her chest, feeling the love of her brother and the echo of their mother's voice around her like a warm embrace. Knowing this place held more than magic, it held the pieces of them waiting to be remembered, a gentle promise lingering in the air as the cabin glimmered softly around them. The cabin glowed softly around Myra, the silver and lavender light blending into a gentle gold as she sank to her knees beside her brother, the warmth of the lantern and the hum of magic wrapping around them like a soft quilt. She drew a shaky breath, feeling the air vibrate faintly with the memory she was about to awaken, and let her lips part in a quiet hum, the old lullaby slipping out in soft, trembling notes that had lived in her heart for so long. The moment the melody floated through the air, the cabin seemed to sigh in recognition, the golden glow spreading gently over the wooden floor and crystal walls, reflecting in her brother's eyes, which softened as the shimmer of silver light began to fade into the comforting warmth of gold. The air wrapped around them both, gentle and kind, carrying the scent of wildflowers and pine, mingled with the faint sweetness of honey. And Mira felt the room pulse with life and love, as if the lullaby itself had summoned it. Her brother's hand trembled slightly as he reached toward her, his eyes glimmering with quiet relief and tenderness, and Myra took a small, careful breath, her fingers brushing his as he placed the silver locket, their mother's, into her palm. It was cool yet alive, with a faint, comforting glow, a small weight in her hand that carried the memory of their mother's love, of evenings filled with warmth and song, and Mira felt her heart swell, a quiet tear tracing a path down her cheek. "I remember it," she whispered softly, voice catching with awe and gratitude. "I remember everything now," and the gold light around her brother pulsed gently, wrapping them both in a cocoon of love and memory. The bridge outside began to shimmer faintly at first, then brighter, casting its pale glow across the clearing, calling to her with a gentle insistence, a reminder that the journey was not yet finished, that she must carry this magic home. Mira hummed the lullaby again, letting the melody mingle with the soft rustle of leaves and the distant gurgle of the creek, her thoughts weaving through memories of her brother's laughter, their mother's soft voice, and the courage it had taken to follow the silver light this far. She felt a quiet joy and relief, a sense of completeness that filled her chest, and whispered to the room, "Thank you for waiting for me," letting the words drift into the golden glow surrounding them. The warmth of the cabin and the shimmer of the bridge seemed to merge, wrapping around her small body and heart, guiding her gently toward the next step. The soft glow of the locket in her palm, anchoring her in the magic she had found. Each sound, the soft clink of the lantern, the murmur of the creek, the hum of unseen wings, wove together into a lullaby of its own, a promise that she and her brother were whole again. Mira rose slowly, holding the locket close, and felt the bridge's light beckon through the cabin door, a quiet invitation to step back into the forest beyond, carrying with her the warmth, love, and memories she had reclaimed in the hush of night. The first light of dawn spilled softly over the forest, brushing the treetops with pale gold and lavender. As Mira stepped onto the glowing bridge once more, the gentle creak of the wooden planks mingling with the distant whisper of the creek below. Her small hands trembled slightly as she held the silver locket close to her chest, its faint glow pulsing like a heartbeat, and the cool morning air brushed against her cheeks, carrying the soft scent of pine and dew. Each step felt both heavy and light, weighted with the memory of the journey she had taken, yet lifted by the quiet joy that filled her heart. The warmth of the golden light from the cabin lingered with her, wrapping her like a shawl of comfort, and the bridge seemed to hum beneath her feet, a gentle acknowledgement of the courage and love she carried across it. The fireflies that had guided her the night before flickered faintly in the morning haze, like tiny embers reluctant to fade. As she neared the other side, Mira glanced back, the bridge shimmering with a delicate silver glow, then fading slowly with the whisper of night, as if the world itself were sighing in quiet approval. Her heart fluttered with a mixture of awe and sadness, a soft ache at leaving the magical place behind, yet a profound peace settled over her, a feeling that she had carried the treasure of memory and love safely home. Myra's thoughts wandered gently as she stepped into the forest beyond, the grass soft beneath her feet, the leaves whispering in the breeze. "We did it, we remembered," she murmured, voice tender, fingers brushing the glowing locket. She thought of her brother's calm smile, the warmth of the cabin, the golden glow that had wrapped them, and the lullaby that had returned like a long-lost friend. Her small heart felt full, carrying not just relief, but a quiet understanding that love and memory endure even across distance and time. The forest seemed to shift around her, softer, lighter, almost aware of the journey she had undertaken. The moss glimmered with dew, the faint scent of flowers and wet earth mingling in the air. And Mira felt the world itself breathing with her, a gentle exhale of approval and wonder. Every rustle of leaves, every trickle of water from the creek felt like a quiet applause, a song of completion and gratitude that wrapped her in comfort. Tears slid down her cheeks, not of sorrow, but of profound tenderness and joy. Each drop catching the early sunlight and sparkling like a promise. The locket pulsed faintly in her palm, silver against her warm skin. Proof that her brother's love had never truly left. Proof that what is lost can always be found when one follows the gentle light of memory and hope. Mira took a deep breath, letting the soft forest air fill her lungs. The morning carrying with it the quiet music of the creek and the whisper of leaves, and she felt ready to carry the magic of the night with her into the new day. The locket resting against her heart, a small, shimmering talisman of love and courage. The first golden rays of dawn stretched gently across the village, spilling over rooftops and cobblestone paths, carrying the scent of baked bread and morning dew. As Mira's small feet crunched softly on the familiar trail leading home, the forest behind her shimmered faintly in silver light, a lingering whisper of the night's magic brushing against the tips of the trees, and the cool breeze tangled her hair as if it wanted to remind her of the adventure she had just lived. Mira walked slowly, each step weighted with the memories of the bridge, the creek, and the cabin of moonlight and crystal, yet lightened by the warmth in her chest, the knowledge that her brother was safe and that the lullaby of their mother had returned to them. As she approached the familiar cottages, she saw her grandmother waiting at the door, eyes soft and full of quiet understanding, a gentle smile brushing her lips, as though she had known all along that Mira would find her way. The villagers were beginning to stir, their voices carrying in soft murmurs across the streets, speaking of how the Moonlight Creek had never appeared again. Yet sometimes, on the nights of a full moon, a silver shimmer could still be glimpsed between the trees, like a secret wink from the world to those who believed. Mira listened quietly, letting the familiarity of the village mingle with the lingering magic of the forest, feeling that her journey was both complete and just a beginning. She stepped into her home, the warmth of the hearth and the faint aroma of fresh tea wrapping around her like a hug, and carefully placed the silver locket on her nightstand, its faint glow soft against the wood, a tiny heartbeat reminding her of love, courage, and memory. Mira traced its surface with her fingertips, whispering a soft thank you to the night, the creek, and the bridge, letting the quiet magic of the past hours settle gently in her heart. Her thoughts drifted as she sat by the window, watching the morning mist curl around the village, the gentle sounds of roosters crowing and children laughing, blending with the memory of her brother's smile and the lullaby. She felt a quiet peace, a sense of wholeness that wrapped around her like a soft blanket, and she murmured, "I'll never forget this," letting her heart hum along with the silver shimmer still flickering faintly in her memory. Mira allowed herself a small, contented smile, knowing that the bridge was no longer a place of loss, but a promise that light always finds its way home, that love and memory endure even when hidden. The village seemed softer somehow, the trees bowing gently in the morning breeze, the air carrying a quiet music, a lullaby of its own, whispering reassurance to anyone who might listen as the sun rose fully. Mira placed her hand over the locket one last time before turning to greet the day, letting the golden light wrap around her shoulders, and in her heart the bridge remained a tender promise, shimmering quietly in dreams yet to come.